And now we have special guest number one, Hiral. The floor is yours. I will stop presenting and let you take over.
Thank you so much, Larry, and thanks to everyone to include us in this amazing meeting. So as Larry on that previous slide showed, I'm a neurologist and I work with Dr. Lori Quinn, the physical therapist, as she introduced herself, at Columbia University. And, we really saw that for the last few years, we've been trying to work to address issues of care engagement by minority populations in our area. And the culmination of several years of work of community engagement has led to the development of this, what we call the storybook, PD Movers, We Keep Moving. And so I'm going to flip through it as I talk. It's a compilation of first-person narratives that are accompanied by these very lifelike and real illustrations. And we asked this group of 10 remarkable individuals and their care partners to share with us their narratives or their journey with Parkinson's disease, how they may initially have noticed symptoms, how they then came to recognize that this was Parkinson's disease and how they were diagnosed, some of their reactions to that. And then we've interspersed educational material to then explain what Parkinson's disease is. So we think this is a really interesting and unique resource that goes through from diagnosis, coping with the diagnosis, and then some treatment strategies where we provide an overview of what the components of a care team might be. As we've shared this resource with our personal, professional, and spiritual networks, we've gotten a really just wonderful reaction. I think that these authentic stories are resonating with individuals. The images are vibrant and underscore the importance of representation. And we've been able to highlight some of the issues that people from the African American and Black communities might face as they're dealing with this journey of Parkinson's disease, including delays in diagnosis and their perceptions of the medical care service. So our initial main goal is really just to spread the word about this resource. We've think there's many different applications to it. It could be shared with individuals and families that are new to Parkinson's disease. It allows them to facilitate conversations. Many patients of mine, including some featured in this book, have shared that they previously lived in secrecy and didn't share their diagnosis with their family. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to acknowledge they had Parkinson's. And because of this book, they've now been able to have a conversation with their family and get that additional support they need. It's also being used to hopefully heighten awareness of Parkinson's disease in this community for providers, because I think often providers still have, unfortunately, the misconception that this is a disease that affects old white men, which we all know is not the case. And further, it can help serve as a template or model that others might use to facilitate care engagement and to just better understand people's experience with this disease. As we move forward and continue to share this work, we've been getting requests to use this type of approach for other communities, even heterogeneous ones like the Hispanic or Latinx, but Southeast Asian, East Asian, and so forth, as well as developing a separate series that addresses topics, for instance, palliative care or surgical options. So I was just really excited to share this work with you all. I'll try to keep it brief, knowing the limitations, and stop there and just invite Lori to also offer her comments or reflections. And then if anyone has any questions, of course.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think in many ways the book just speaks for itself, and we appreciate the comments. And I do just want to underscore, I think the importance of this is while the book is an important output, we think that the process that was used to go about this, which was really driven by the individuals who told the stories, and we just helped to make it a reality for them, and really using a community-based approach in developing this. And so we're really looking forward to doing that, as Dr. Shah said, with other topics and populations, and we think it has great promise.
And I understand you're ordering more hardbacks.
That's right. Yeah, we have been trying to acquire more funding and sponsorships. So we've gotten a small chunk of money, and APDA, as they pointed out, they'll be distributing a lot of the hard copies for us, and we thank them for that support. It's so important because we just keep getting asked for, how can I get a hard copy? And I think the hard copy is also really much more impactful than the digital version. So we want this to get into the hands of as many people as we can. Certainly, we are looking for additional mechanisms of support to support the printing of additional books. The more we print, the cost is driven down. So we're trying to kind of bring together different pools of funds to support that. But certainly, even translation, for example, we know that it's not a solution, or it's not the ultimate end result. We're hoping to develop something similar for the Hispanic community, but we're hoping to present the work at WPC. And because it's in Spain, we're planning to provide a translated version.
Great.
In
Thank
Spanish.
you. Does anybody have any questions before we move on?
Jean Blake here. I co-chair one of the working groups for WPC on anti-stigma. And our target, we still have to create so much more awareness of the resources and so on within the PD community itself. But our target audience needs to be bigger in terms of addressing the stigma issue. We did already come across your resource. We had it, one of our committee members was aware of it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful resource and a wonderful template for like, for example, I think here, Larry, in BC, we've got that Chinese community where we would need to have translated versions. But that again, we're targeting the group that already has PD and the caregivers. So has there been any thought in terms of that broader awareness as well? I mean, this is just a magnificent piece of work, but we're also interested in seeing what kind of materials could be created to address the larger community that these people live within to assist with reducing the stigma issues.
So I certainly think that this tool can be used as a first step. I've even shared it among like my family members who tell me that, oh, I never knew that. I've never met someone who's Black with Parkinson's, or I didn't know that Black people could be affected by Parkinson's disease. So I think that though this isn't the perfect tool, and it certainly will be more engaging to someone who is affected by Parkinson's or knows someone affected by Parkinson's, I do think that using illustrations and this type of first-person storytelling is much more compelling and can allow for it to be engaging even for someone who doesn't know anything about Parkinson's disease. I think that part of the things that we've been thinking about is how do we get that interest and get it into the hands of community members. For instance, like we were thinking, putting it in barbershops or beauty salons or the gym or physical therapy offices, places where it's not just for people with Parkinson's. But I think that's where, the first edition was printed in November. So these are the types of suggestions and that we're looking for, is how do we make that a reality. But certainly if I would be very interested and open to adapting this and maybe making it a version that's more easily digestible by the more broader community.
Thank you. I think one of the things our working group has spoken about, and again, there's a need for sponsorship, is to create a website that would be accessible internationally and just have these kinds of resources there for people to pick and choose through and maybe use as templates for their own community, whether translation is required or just, different faces to the storybook. So eventually we're presenting also at WPC, and hope you would be able to attend and profile your work a little bit as part of the discussion. It's on the Tuesday, one of the pre-conference workshops.
That would be amazing. Thank you. And potentially developing a guide maybe for cultural adaptation, which would include translation, but also other aspects that one needs to continue consider apart from language only.
So I'd love to have your contacts to talk a little bit more.
Yes.
Larry, can you provide that to me?
I
first?
can, or Hiral, if you're
can-
comfortable, you can just put it into the chat, because I know Helen would like to get in touch with you as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll include Lori yours as
We'll
well.
try not to inundate you, but it would be.
No, please. I would love it. It would be make me so happy.
That's great. So
And
we're
can
gonna
I
go
add
from-
one? Can I say
Oh,
one
sure,
thing?
Jenny,
to that
go
one
ahead.
too? For those that are new that haven't met me, I'm Jenny Tessito. I work with LSVT Global, but my background is I'm a physical therapist. And so I'm part of the wellness committee through PD Avengers as well, where we're trying to put together resources. And our second phase of our project is to address resources for different cultures, things in their words and their terms that make sense with their cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, things like that affect maybe how they manage a diagnosis with Parkinson's and how other people around them also are affected by that. So yeah, I would love to connect with you guys too, maybe more to talk about that second phase of this project and how we might be able to include your resource with that as well.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.